Assalamu alaikum. This is your brother Rahim again, your investigative reporter, with part 6. Qur'an Contradicts the Bible. Rahim versus DeAndre. This part and segment is from a caller that called into the show. Listen to the most idiotic idea that can come about from a person's mouth. Let's listen.
255, you're live on Debate Talk for You. You have a question or a comment?
Hey, yeah, I have a comment, man. I'm so glad. First, I want to bring greetings from Jesus Christ, man. I'm glad that you actually brought up this topic, man, because a lot of people, you have a lot of black people who say they are Muslims, but I researched the Muslim is not a black man religion. It's an Arab religion. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it, I got a chance to read Sarah, I guess it's chapter 3, verse 106. It talks about black faces are cursed, and black faces can't go to heaven. So when the black people say they Muslims, they say they're not going to heaven because the Quran says only white faces are going to go to heaven.
People, did you hear this guy? I mean, the most ignorant statement I have heard yet. He said the Quran said black faces going to hell and white faces going to heaven. First of all, we're not black people. It is a classification to classify us as so-called black people. We're not black. There's no such thing as white people because they're not white. If you can get a brand new business shirt that's all white, put it next to a so-called white person who I call Caucasian, and they're the same, their complexion matches that white shirt, I'll leave Islam and follow the Bible. Just one. You don't know what you're talking about. Second of all, I can tell you're not an adept in Islam history. I can tell that. You don't understand what you're reading in English. Now I'm questioning some of you people's level of schooling. If you even passed the 12th grade, got a diploma, or whatever. Some of you just sound ignorant to the core. Now, you said black faces are going to hell and white faces going to heaven. That's what you said. The Quran says. It doesn't say that. You can't even comprehend in English. You're reading it in English and you can't comprehend. The Quran never says that. The Quran never said that. Let's see what the Quran says. The Quran actually says, and I'm going to read from chapter 3, verses 105, 106, and 107 to complete the understanding that the caller didn't give you to understand because he doesn't understand. He gave you one verse. Let's read all three. Be not like those who are divided amongst themselves and fall into the disputations after receiving clear signs. For them is a dreadful penalty, meaning the hellfire. On the day when some faces will be lit up with white, and some faces will be in the gloom of black. To those whose faces will be black will be said, did ye reject faith after accepting it? Taste then the penalty for rejecting faith. But those whose faces will be lit with white, they will be in the light of Allah's mercy, therein to dwell forever. Notice it said in the light of Allah's mercy. When it's talking about lit up with white, it says lit up. See, he left that part out. In the gloom of black. In the Quran, it talks about going to the hellfire. And when you're in the hellfire, you burn. Just like whatever complexion you is, throw a person in the fire and see what color they come out. Take anything and put it in the fire and see what color it comes out. It comes out charred or charcoal, or what is called black. Okay? It's saying when you get to heaven, when you're dealing with Allah, you will be lit up with white. Basically light. That'll be your spirit. You said it's people, black people. It's not talking about black people. It's talking about spirits, dude. Spirits are not people. When you're a spirit, you will be in of a light. Okay? If you go to hell and you burn, you will be in the gloom of black. Let me show you what Dr. Azuma says, and let me show you what the definition of black and white are. Dr. John Azuma, scholar of Christian missions and Islamic studies, he's a doctor, will join Columbia Theological Seminary faculty 11/17/2010. You gotta be, your academics gotta be top notch to go to Columbia. Okay, now let's get into his book. John Alim Bellah Azuma, The Legacy of Arab Islam in Africa. He says, in pre-Islamic Arab poetry and historical narratives, blacks were usually referred to as Habash. There is hardly any trace of antagonism or discrimination on the basis of the skin color in the pre-Islamic and early Islamic Arabia. In line with this pre-Islamic and early Islamic period, the Quran, apart from one instance where the colors black and white are based in an idiomatic sense to depict evil and good, respectfully expressed no prejudice in matter of race or color. There it is, right there. See, people, this is why I love to do what I do, because it's people like that caller say things that they don't understand, and I use this man is not Islamic. He studied Islam. He know the truth. He just gave you the truth. It has nothing to do with so-called white people or so-called black people. But let's move on. The caller also had the nerve to make a statement as to Islam being a quote-unquote Arab religion, and it's not for black people, quote unquote. What the caller doesn't understand is, again, there's no such thing as black people. Second of all, it was the Africans from Africa who introduced Islam. I will debate him on that. But let me go to my sources and prove this guy illegitimately wrong with nonsensical rhetoric. Let's read. The marvelous Arabian civilization. The scriptures unite Arabia with the most intimate dealings of God with men. Here says the Encyclopedia of Biblical Literature were transacted, page 127. The marvelous panorama of the life of the patriarch Job, who was described as one of the greatest men of the East. To this land Moses escaped after killing the Egyptian. Here he lived, put to school as it were among the Midianites, descendants of Cush. Here he married a daughter of Ethiopia. Here he saw the burning bush, and here he talked with God. Here Elijah was fed by the ravens, and Arabia was the scene of all the marvelous displays of divine power and mercy that followed the deliverance of Israel from Egypt and accompanied their journeys into the promised land. And here Jehovah manifests himself in visible glory to his people. Here today, in the desert of sin, manna still formed a tiny cereal upon the rocks. It was out of this region, which is Arabia, that God selected the race through which in two religions one supreme God should be revealed to the world. The Hebrews and the Mohammedans spring from the same race, the wonderful Ethiopians of the ancient Kushite Empire. Drusilla Dungy Houston, page 128. Let's go to more of our source. These primitive Semites were a North Arabian race. Southern Arabia was occupied by the older and more civilized Ethiopian race. Ethiopia is in Africa. So it's saying Ethiopia people was in Arabia. Let's read on. Gibbon speaks of Sabians in North Arabia. If they were, it was families that had passed northward after the flood of Rahim, which dispersed the families of the old Yemen over northern Arabia. These people were advanced in civilization. The fact that the father-in-law of Moses could show him defects in his administration of government proves that he was in possession of an older and more seasoned form of law. The scriptures tell us that Moses hearkened to his voice of his father-in-law and did all that he said. The wonderful Ethiopians of the ancient Kushite Empire. That's just a little bit of what I got, people. I got more. This showing you that the Africans are the ones who started Islam, and it was in Africa and in Arabia. The caller tried to make it seem like blacks and Arabs are two different people. Wrong. And I've proved that. And if anyone wants to debate me, did African Arab invent Islam, or was it white Caucasian people? I'm up for the debate. Let's read about black first. The definition: without light or not able to reflect it, colorless or so dark as to appear colorless, the opposite of white, lowering black clouds, not hopeful, the prospects look black, sad, black day for our team, angry, sullen, or disapproving, a black look, very dirty, wicked, black, villainy, evil, black magic, dark skin, belonging to a race of dark pigmentation, reflecting discredit, a black mark, illegal, black market. Keep going. It's nothing but telling you about evil, gloomy, and they put that on us. Now let's go to what white mean. White, of the color sensation stimulated by a combination of all wavelengths of visible light, or resulting from combinations of certain pairs of wavelengths being the color of, that is, milk, of hair, gray or silver, of hair, very blonde, of wines, very pale yellow, free from sin, pure, pale, white, with terror, of, or relating to the Caucasian division of mankind, covered with white snow, blank, not printed upon, etc., etc., etc. You see, people, they're Caucasians, and what Qur'an was saying, the translator was putting the words in context of evil and good. Peace.